Hey everyone, and welcome to The Deep Dive. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the world of winter sports.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah. And, we've got a really interesting mix of like sources and stuff. So we're going to be looking at both the history of these sports and also kind of like their modern place in the world.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. And I'm really excited to be focusing on figure skating today.
Cool.
And speaking of figure skating, we're going to be learning all about its journey from its humble beginnings to its place on the world stage.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I'm joined by an expert in the field to help us, unpack all this stuff.
Well, absolutely. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Did you know that like the first ice skates were made from animal bones?
What? No way.
Yeah. And also figure skating was initially part of the Summer Olympics.
Huh. That's so interesting. I would have never guessed that.
Yeah.
Wow. So it's clear that winter sports have such a deep connection to like human history and our relationship with nature and the elements.
Totally.
It's amazing to see how like survival techniques in these harsh landscapes have evolved into the sports we know and love today.
Yeah, it's wild, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
And it's so cool that, when faced with those freezing temps
Yeah.
and challenging terrain, humans didn't just hunker down.
Right.
And wait for spring.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. We were innovative.
Yeah.
And found ways not only to survive, but also to thrive.
Yeah.
And then those survival skills, turned into sports.
Yeah. And actually, our sources say that skiing goes all the way back to 3000 BCE.
Wow.
In Scandinavia.
That's older than the pyramids.
I know, right? It's crazy.
That's wild.
So I'm curious, what did skiing even look like back then?
Well, for ancient cultures,
yeah,
especially the Sami people of Scandinavia, skiing was purely practical. They used it to get around, navigate the snowy landscapes,
right?
Hunt for food.
Yeah.
Basically live their lives. But just imagine the ingenuity involved in making those early skis.
Yeah.
They were crafted from whatever materials they could find.
Yeah.
And even though they were super primitive, they still show a deep understanding of physics and mastering the environment.
Yeah.
It's that same drive to innovate, to push the boundaries with what you have available.
Totally.
That's what's still at the heart of winter sports today.
I totally see that. It's like that resourcefulness led to those bone skates and,
It's true.
drives athletes today to push limits.
Absolutely.
Oh, and speaking of bone skates, they were being made in Finland.
Wow.
Around 2000 BCE.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so I bet ice skating back then must have been a completely different experience.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So what do we know about how they were used?
So those early bone skates were mainly used for transportation.
Okay.
Getting around on frozen lakes and rivers more efficiently.
That makes sense.
Can you imagine gliding across the ice with nothing but your own strength and some ingenuity?
Oh, yeah.
It must have been so exhilarating.
I bet.
And maybe even terrifying at times.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But what's really fascinating is that even way back then, there are signs that ice skating wasn't just about practicality.
Interesting.
Archaeologists have found some decorated skates.
Wow, really?
Yeah, it suggests that even then, people wanted to express themselves.
Interesting.
Even with such a simple tool.
Yeah, wow.
It's like a little glimpse into the human desire to find joy and beauty, even in these harsh environments.
Oh, wow. That's a really cool insight. It's they're like the cave paintings of winter sports.
Totally.
So for centuries, winter sports were all about being practical.
Yeah.
But as we get into the Middle Ages,
yeah,
we start to see them becoming more recreational, right?
Exactly. By the Middle Ages, we see evidence of winter sports shifting towards leisure and enjoyment.
Okay.
And take the Netherlands, for example.
Okay.
Their canals would freeze over in the winter.
Right.
And they became these amazing ice skating grounds.
Oh, wow. That's so cool.
And what's really interesting is that it wasn't just about skating alone.
Okay.
It was a social thing.
Okay.
People would gather on the ice.
Yeah.
They would play games. They would race. They even formed skating clubs.
Wow.
Which is the beginning of organized competitive ice skating.
Yes. So cool. It's like those canals were the original social media platform.
Huh.
Bringing people together, fostering community. And just fun and recreation.
I love that.
Yeah, it's amazing that something so simple
as
a frozen canal could have such an impact.
Yeah, for sure.
So then we get to the 19th century.
Okay.
Which brought like some major changes to the world of winter sports, right?
The 19th century was a turning point, especially with the Industrial Revolution. Yeah. Suddenly it was possible to like mass produce equipment.
Yeah.
And we started seeing dedicated facilities popping up.
Okay.
This led to winter sports becoming more formalized.
Okay.
Like we see the first recorded skiing competitions in Norway.
Wow.
And curling clubs in Scotland and Canada.
Wow.
It's like winter sports were changing rapidly.
It's like they went from being these like organic, community-driven activities to becoming more organized.
Absolutely.
Which is especially clear with the birth of figure skating as its own discipline.
Yeah.
And our sources point to one guy in particular.
Okay, who's that?
Jackson Haynes.
Oh, yeah, Jackson Haynes.
Yeah.
He was a visionary.
He seems like it.
This American skater in the mid-19th century who completely revolutionized figure skating.
Okay.
He had this like radical idea to bring ballet moves into his routines.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blending artistry and athleticism in a way no one had ever seen before.
That's so cool.
Like imagine seeing that back then.
Yeah.
A skater gliding with the grace of a dancer.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It was a total revelation.
Wow.
And it laid the foundation for modern figure skating.
Wow. So it sounds like he didn't just like introduce new moves.
Yeah.
He like changed the whole vocabulary of the sport.
He did.
Wow.
He took it from a pastime to an art form.
Yeah. That's incredible.
Which led to competitions and global recognition.
Oh, wow. Speaking of competitions,
the
first official figure skating competition was in Vienna in 1882.
Yeah.
What were some of the things they did at that competition?
Well, the Vienna competition was huge. Yeah. It had things like compulsory figures, which are where the skaters trace precise patterns on the ice, showing their control and precision.
Okay.
It also had free skating, where they could express themselves creatively.
Gotcha.
And even though like the techniques and scoring have evolved over time, those core elements, the mix of technical skill and artistry are still the heart of figure skating.
Totally.
Yeah.
So they set the framework for figure skating.
They did.
And it wasn't long before it gained international recognition.
Yep.
Like the first World Figure Skating Championships were in St. Petersburg in 1896. That must have been a huge step for the sport.
Oh, yeah. The St. Petersburg Championships were figure skating's arrival on the world stage.
Wow.
It drew skaters from tons of different countries, showing how much the sport was growing.
Yeah.
But it's important to remember that these early championships weren't as inclusive as they are now.
Oh, right.
Like women weren't allowed to compete until 1906.
Wow.
It just goes to show you that like the road to inclusivity in sports has been a long one.
Right. That's a good point.
Yeah.
And that's really cool that they finally included women in 1906.
Yeah, for sure.
And then a few years later, figure skating makes its Olympic debut. But here's the crazy part.
Okay.
It was part of the Summer Olympics in 1908.
What? Really?
Yeah, why was that?
Well, it might seem strange now.
Yeah.
But back then, winter sports were still kind of new.
Oh, okay.
They weren't established enough to have their own games.
Gotcha.
So figure skating, being in the Summer Olympics, was a big moment. It showed how popular they were becoming.
Yeah.
And that they could capture a global audience.
Wow. So figure skating at the Summer Games was like a glimpse into the future.
Yeah, exactly.
And of course, it led to the first Winter Olympics in 1924.
Yes. The first Winter Olympics in Chamonix, France, solidified figure skating's place as a major event, showcasing its unique mix of athleticism and artistry.
That's so cool.
It was proof of the skaters' dedication and talent, the fans' passion, and the power of sports to bring people together.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah, it really...
So we've been talking about the history of winter sports and their, Olympic debut, but now I'm kind of curious about the cultural impact of these sports.
Oh, yeah.
Especially figure skating, it seems like. It's more than just jumps and spins.
Yeah, for sure.
It really captures the imagination.
Yeah.
I totally agree. So what is it about figure skating that inspires people worldwide?
Well, you've hit on something really important.
Okay.
Winter sports are more than just physical activities, especially the ones that have gained global recognition.
Okay.
They really become like woven into societies.
Okay.
They shape identities and create a sense of pride.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Like ice hockey in Canada.
Yes.
It's practically a religion there.
It really is.
I've always been so amazed by
Yeah.
how important hockey is to Canadian culture. It's not just a sport.
Nope.
It's a symbol of the country.
It's true. Growing up in Canada, you're pretty much born with a hockey stick in your hand.
Yeah.
And it goes beyond just playing the sport.
Okay.
It's about watching the games, cheering for your team,
Yeah.
sharing those wins and losses. It
Yeah.
creates such a strong sense of community.
Yeah, it's like all those frozen ponds and backyard rinks become these little like microcosms of Canadian culture.
Yeah.
Where kids learn about teamwork and resilience and competition.
Absolutely. It's a rite of passage.
Totally.
And that sense of community extends beyond Canada, too.
Okay.
Especially with events like the Winter Olympics.
Yeah.
You've got athletes from all over the world coming together, all united by their passion for their sport.
Yeah.
And for those few weeks, the world is focused on these amazing achievements.
Yeah. The Olympics really have a way of like
Yeah.
transcending those differences.
Yeah, they do.
And reminding us
Yeah.
that we can come together and celebrate those shared human experiences.
Absolutely.
Speaking of shared experiences,
Yeah.
let's talk about snowboarding. It's a sport with a culture all its own.
Totally.
It's got that rebellious streak and a coolness factor that other winter sports don't really have.
Yeah, for sure.
Where did that come from?
Well, snowboarding emerged in the mid-20th century.
Okay.
And right away, it was seen as this countercultural thing.
Interesting.
It represented freedom, creativity, individuality,
Okay.
which a lot of people saw as like a rebellion against skiing.
Wow. So it was like the punk rock of winter sports.
Ah,
Challenging the norms.
yeah.
Forging its own path.
Yeah. And that rebellious spirit is still a huge part of snowboarding today.
Okay.
You see it in the way they ride, the clothes, the music, even the language they use.
Yeah.
Snowboarding has its own vocabulary, its own values.
Yeah.
And it attracts people who are drawn to that individuality.
So cool.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how a sport can become so intertwined with a subculture.
It is.
And speaking of distinct cultures, we can't forget about curling.
Oh, yeah, of course.
It may not have the same image as snowboarding.
Yeah, true.
But it has such a rich history and like traditions
For sure.
and a surprisingly dedicated fan base.
Curling is a really interesting example of how a sport can change over time while still holding on to its core values.
Okay.
It started in Scotland centuries ago.
Wow.
Played on frozen lochs and ponds.
Wow.
And it's kept that sense of community.
Okay.
Even as it's become a global sport.
Yeah.
It's often called chess on ice.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that.
Because it's so strategic.
Okay.
But it also has a strong social aspect.
Right. Curling always seemed kind of mysterious to me.
Oh, yeah.
But I've heard that curling clubs are really important to their communities.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Curling clubs provide a place for people of all ages and backgrounds to come together, socialize, and compete.
Okay.
And those traditions carry over to the professional level, too.
Oh, wow. How so?
You'll see teams celebrating a good shot with handshakes or even a drink together.
Wow.
It's a reminder that sportsmanship matters.
That's really nice to hear.
Yeah.
Especially in today's world.
It is.
So we've talked about the cultural significance of winter sports. But let's not forget, they're also about athleticism.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And pushing physical limits.
Totally. The evolution of athletic performance in winter sports is amazing.
Yeah.
Athletes are always raising the bar, developing new techniques, breaking records. And it's not just power and speed. It's also about precision grace.
Yeah.
Pushing the limits of what's possible.
And I think figure skating
Yeah.
really shows that
For sure.
it's gone from those elegant but simple routines to the incredible jumps and spins we see now.
Totally.
What are some of the things that have driven that evolution?
It's a few things, really. Advancements in equipment,
Like what?
like lighter and more supportive skates, which allow for more complex moves.
And then there are innovative training techniques,
Okay.
drawing from things like gymnastics and dance.
Okay.
So athletes can develop incredible strength and flexibility.
Yeah, it's like figure skating has become this fusion of athleticism and art.
It really has.
Where they use their bodies
Yeah.
to tell stories and evoke emotions and just create these moments of beauty.
Totally. It's amazing to watch.
It's mesmerizing.
It is.
It's a testament to human creativity and the drive to be excellent.
Absolutely. And it's not just figure skating either.
Okay.
Think about skiing.
Yeah.
From downhill races to the aerials in freestyle.
Yeah.
those athletes are constantly pushing the limits.
Totally. Speaking of pushing limits, not everyone can be an Olympian.
Right.
What about the rest of us? What role do winter sports play in the lives of everyday people?
Winter sports offers so many benefits.
Okay.
For people of all ages and skill levels.
Okay.
For a lot of people.
Yeah. It's about getting outside, enjoying the fresh air, experiencing that thrill of gliding across the snow or ice.
Yeah.
It's a chance to connect with nature, challenge yourself, and have fun.
Totally. I think there's something about winter sports that brings out that childlike joy.
Yeah.
Like that feeling of speeding down a hill or twirling on the ice.
It's pure joy.
It is. And it's a great way to beat those winter blues.
It is.
And get some exercise.
Exactly. And those experiences can be so good for you.
Yeah.
They help with fitness, improve your heart health,
okay,
build strength and endurance.
Wow.
They can even boost your mood and reduce stress.
Really?
And for many people, it's a way to connect with friends and family.
Yeah.
Create memories.
Yeah.
And build community.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Those are really great reasons to get out there. But let's be real.
Yeah.
Winter sports haven't always been the most inclusive.
That's true.
They've often been seen as expensive.
Yeah.
And only for certain people.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there have been barriers to participating in winter sports.
Yeah.
Often tied to money, location, and even just perceptions.
Yeah.
But thankfully, there's a movement to address that.
It's great.
And make these sports more inclusive.
That's great.
Because everyone deserves a chance
Yeah.
to experience the joy of winter sports.
So we've talked about some of the challenges facing winter sports, especially with climate change. You know, less reliable snow, shorter winters.
Right.
But I'm curious about the solutions. Like, what role can technology play in helping winter sports adapt?
Well, technology is already playing a big role.
Okay.
We're seeing advancements in snowmaking tech.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they're more efficient, use less water and energy.
Wow.
And some can even work in warmer temps.
Really?
Yeah, some resorts are experimenting with these high-tech systems that can extend the ski season and make the snow more consistent.
So even with climate change, we might still be able to hit the slopes.
Hopefully.
That's amazing. Are there any other tech advancements?
Yeah, tons.
Really? Like what?
Indoor facilities are getting super advanced.
Okay.
We're seeing indoor ski slopes.
Wow.
And ice rinks.
Okay.
That are open all year round.
Wow.
No matter the weather.
That's so cool.
They have climate control special equipment.
Okay.
Even virtual reality.
Whoa, virtual reality skiing.
Yeah.
That's wild.
You can ski down a mountain.
Wow.
In the middle of summer.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but it does make you wonder.
About what?
If we're losing that connection with nature.
Oh, right.
With all this technology.
Yeah, are we?
Well, it's a good question.
Yeah.
Technology can definitely enhance the experience, but it's important to remember it's just a tool.
Okay.
The real essence of winter sports is about the human spirit, pushing boundaries, connecting with nature, and the friendships you make.
Totally. So it's about finding a balance.
Exactly.
Between innovation and like the core values of these sports.
For sure.
I'm also curious about new trends.
Oh, yeah.
Are there any new disciplines or styles?
Totally. Like backcountry snowboarding is getting super popular.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah. Riders are going beyond the resorts.
Okay.
Exploring untouched slopes and natural terrain.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
It's way more adventurous and connects them with nature.
That's like taking snowboarding back to its roots.
Exactly.
Wow. I love it. Are there any other trends?
Yeah. We're also seeing a comeback of cross-country skiing.
Really?
Interesting. It's a more traditional style, low impact, focuses on endurance and technique, and really connects you with the landscape.
So people are like rediscovering the joys of skiing through a forest?
I think so.
And connecting with nature?
It seems like there's a growing awareness of sustainability and wanting to minimize our impact.
Totally.
Am I right?
You are. There's a real shift happening.
Yeah.
People are looking for eco-friendly options.
Yeah.
Supporting businesses that care about the environment and speaking up for responsible use of natural resources.
Yeah, that's great.
It's really encouraging.
So it seems like the future of winter sports is about embracing innovation, but also tradition, pushing limits, but being sustainable.
Absolutely.
That's so cool. But what about our listeners?
Yeah.
What can they do to be part of this?
Well, first, be mindful of your environmental impact. Like choose eco-friendly transportation, support sustainable businesses, reduce waste.
Yeah.
But make good choices.
It's about those little things adding up.
Exactly.
What else?
Don't be afraid to try new things. Like cross-country skiing or snowshoeing. Even ice skating on a pond.
Yeah.
They offer a different perspective. Deeper connection with nature. Yeah, that's great. And what about inclusivity?
Oh, yeah. Good point.
You talked about how winter sports haven't always been accessible.
Right.
So what can we do about that?
Support organizations working to make a difference.
Okay.
There are groups out there.
Yeah.
Helping underprivileged youth.
Okay.
Creating programs for people with disabilities.
Okay.
And promoting diversity in winter sports.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Volunteer your time. Donate to them. Speak up for change.
So it's about creating a welcoming space.
Exactly.
Where everyone feels like they belong.
For sure.
That's awesome.
The future of winter sports depends on all of us.
Yeah.
Protecting the environment, being inclusive, embracing new ideas.
Yeah.
While staying true to what makes these sports so special.
So well said.
It's a future we can create together.
Wow. This has been an incredible journey.
It has.
Exploring the world of winter sports.
Yeah.
From their history to their cultural impact.
Yeah.
To their future.
It's been amazing.
As we wrap up this deep dive, we're left with a sense of wonder, but also responsibility.
For sure.
You've seen the incredible athleticism, the artistry, the connection with nature, the pure joy of these sports.
Absolutely.
And now it's up to us
to
make sure these traditions continue in a way that's sustainable and inclusive.
For everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
It's been an amazing journey exploring all of this.
It really has.
And as we move on, let's remember the lessons we've learned about resilience.
Yeah.
The power of community, the human spirit that pushes us to be better, and our connection with the natural world.
Beautifully said.
Thank you.
And to all our listeners, thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
On this exploration of winter sports.
We hope you enjoyed it.
And we encourage you to keep exploring.
Yeah, get out there and try something new.
Support sustainable practices.
And speak up for inclusivity.
Because the future of winter sports
is in our hands.
And together, we can make sure they keep inspiring us all.